Hey, it's Uncle Joe at Uncle Joe Hikes. We're here at Tallulah Gorge State Park, and we're gonna hike out onto the backcountry trail. We kind of loosely join up back with the Stoneplace Trail, and then we're gonna make our way out to the lake today. I've done this hike before, but I didn't release that video. Really kind of was a bit disjointed. So yeah, this is the scaffolding and tower from when the tightrope walker went across. And life ain't dangerous enough as it is. So you can imagine that tightrope walker going across. I think he probably would have went over that way. I've never been over on that side. I thought about doing that today, but I think I'm gonna do the backcountry trail instead. As you can see, bottom of the gorge, you can just see the bridge down there. A lot of people take the hike down into the gorge. Yeah, back over here. We're going to make our way over to Inspiration Point before we head on out into the backcountry. They got them a back door on their Keebler house, Jim. So when you leave that sign down there, you kind of do a bit of an S-turn as you start climbing. We still got a little bit of climbing here, and we should be at the point. All right, we're here at Inspiration Point. See if we can get inspired. There we go. We were around there. I think we may have been down there a few minutes ago. We got a much better view of the footbridge, and of course the Tallulah Falls proper. It's a really deep section of the gorge here. Back the very far building you can see there used to be an ice cream shop in there. It's long gone. It's beautiful. It's a deep gorge. Surprisingly, they didn't issue me a permit today. They just had me sign in, so that's a change from my last trip out here. There's the High Bluff Trail. Our last trip out, we did that as a loop. Went out and came back around and then back. This is one of the backcountry shelters here. Got another one up ahead. So this marks a split with the Stoneplace Trail. Now to go back around into the upper end of the parking lot. We're going to take a right, make our way out. So this area was part of a burn area. You can see the charred bottoms of these pine trees. It's probably been 5 years or so since that happened. What it's done is really opened up things under here. Of course, now you're starting to get, you know, brush coming in. That's going to be your first, you know, your first new growth, I guess. pines will damp back some of that as their needles fall. There are some young oaks and things under here too. But what it does, it creates a very exposed hiking experience. This is a very wide track. It's going to open up into what's basically a double track access road. So from a standpoint of single track, ridge walking, that sort of thing, it's probably not as compelling as, say, the AT or the Bartram. But when it's cold outside, this is not a bad hike. You get some exposure to the sun, so you get to soak up some warmth. Of course, it's only, you know, low 50s today. So another tree down here. Looks like people have beaten out a path around it, so we'll take advantage of that so we don't have to crawl through anything. That's probably from the recent storm a month or so ago. So it may be longer than that. That wasn't there the last time I was here, so anyway, onward. Well, we came to this gravel parking lot. I believe that when we get across this power line that it's a hunting area. Could be wrong, but yeah, this is kind of a access road here. We'll follow much of this on our way back. So yeah, we're basically entering the WMA, I think, here. So, and everything back that way is part of the state park proper. Make our way. There's our high bluff exit right here. That's where you would come out and hike back the way we came to close the loop. We're heading on out, and I guess this is technically Stoneplace Trail still. We'll take this on out. Continue on through the burn. Got an old road bed forking off right there. We'll stay on the trail proper, of course. So there's a video in my archives there where me and my buddy Don came out to kayak Tallulah Lake back here. And we came at the time that this fire was going. They had already contained it, but on the back road coming in to the lake, there were still spots that were smoldering. So, I mean, it had just happened. Well, got some scat here. Not sure what. Doesn't really look like bear. More like a maybe coyote or fox or something. Difficult to say. Somebody may know. Let me know in the comments if you're a scatologist. I am not. Something has a path beaten out to that bluff up there. Maybe to get some views. We'll get our views here in just a little bit as we make our way out to a point out there. We'll get to look down at the lake and the river. Be more of the river at that point. There are some shoe prints out ahead of me. I can't tell if they're today or not. Certainly within the last 2 days. Could have been yesterday. Saw a couple of people out ahead of me when I was out near Inspiration Point, but I don't think they came this way. I have a feeling they may have just done the hook around and picked up Stoneplace going back to the park. But you never know. So probably the most compelling views on this hike are back at the gorge. But you do get a view of the river down here. As you make your way around, you can see down into the lake. There's a really nice shelter back here too that you can come out and do an overnight there. And then of course it dumps out on that access road down at the lake. There's a nice old dock there. Camping opportunity. There's an old pit toilet there, but you probably run down. But for me, just getting out, getting a little sun exposure is just always a good thing in the wintertime. I'm getting into some laurels here. I think there's even a rhododendron tree right there too. So that means that draw right there has got to have some moisture in it, maybe a spring. And our trail's squeezing down a little bit, so getting to look a little bit more like single track now. Getting into these short needle pines here. Which means we got some needles on the ground. I don't know, I always loved walking through that, as I've said so many times. I guess it reminds me a little bit too of home. We used to walk through the pine groves. The logging companies would plant pines, and when I was really young, really up until high school, those pines were a ubiquitous part of my childhood. And then one day they came in, cut them all down, but thankfully replanted a lot of them too. So, but a lot of that property got sold off into parcels, and people started putting homes in there. Me and my cousin Dennis, who I've mentioned before, and my cousin Earl Jean, man, we spent countless days in those pine woods. Didn't get a whole lot of hunting in there. There wasn't a lot of gray squirrels in there, as I recall, but there were some fox squirrels. My cousin Jean was fortunate enough to harvest some fox squirrels in there. I never did. But those pine groves, you could take all the way back to the edges and you'd find oak trees and things like that. Oak groves, you could go in and hunt those areas, which we did. There's some more scat. That's a lot older. We are seeing some paw prints around. I think those are largely canine, somebody walking with a dog. It's been quite a way since we came from Inspiration Point, so there hasn't been much in the way of views at this point. But we'll get out and around, and then up on a little bit of a ridge, we'll be able to see out. So it's coming. In the meantime, you just got a lovely walk. For those who are interested, I have met my goal weight, which is 180 pounds. Original goal was 185. When I blew through that, I decided to go on to 180. I've clocked 180 for 2 days now. Once I'm clocking that on a regular basis, then I'll try to move into some sort of a maintenance mode and probably start introducing foods that I've been off of for quite a while. But it feels good. This means you'll see more more frontal walking toward you shots probably than you ever did in the previous videos. So it's what it is, you know. There's some things about me you didn't need to see. There's a lot of what looked like laurels here, but if you notice, the leaves are kind of pointing down, and they're also kind of curling long ways. I think these are short leaf rhododendrons. There's something in the rhododendron family just by virtue of the way that they're curling up. You can see out in the burn area and all the pines, it really gives it a kind of a western feel. You know, you might imagine like Arizona, you know, or New Mexico, maybe Flagstaff up on the rim, you know, in the high country around there, and Prescott, you know, you kind of get these really more with ponderosa pines, but still these pines are close enough in look, right, in the way they look. Well, we've made it up to the side slope. Gorge goes back that way, hooks around. Okay, we're just getting a shot of the dam. So this fork here comes up into the gorge over to my right, comes behind us. And then the Chattooga River is going to come down into the lake here, butt up against that dam. I don't fall. Yeah, getting some good views here. Of course, everything on the other side of the dam and that ridge over there is all South Carolina. We were getting a little encroachment on the trail back there from things like this. So you can imagine summertime, it might get a little growed over. Well, some kind of mudslide here. Side slope gave way. I don't remember this being like this when I was here before, so this is relatively recent. We got to make our way along this edge here over this bush. Keep ourselves from sloughing off into the abyss there. What a mess. Yeah. Not good. You get a good view of the mudslide there. There was a shorter one over there, a smaller one. Really did a number. So we're kind of coming up through this miniature pass. There's a trail there. Last time I came through here, there was a lot of deer tracks, so that's kind of like an animal trail apparently. We come through, we should be getting some views of the river and the lake. Yeah, there we go, yeah. There we go. And the dam is right back there. This goes up, slowly dwindles down into the river, runs all the way up into North Carolina and divides Georgia and South Carolina. Here we go. Let's walk down here. It don't look like anybody's been beating a path out down here in a while, judging by all the leaves. And got a bush there, wouldn't let go of my trekking pole. Yeah, a tree's done falling over here. Probably doesn't help matters any. See if we can find a way around all this. We got a fire ring here. Not a bad little shelter. Made a little bit of racket coming in case there was a bear or something denned up underneath. This wouldn't be a bad place to camp at all. Trail coming in is not real evident, but you got some views. Got some views. There's always something to read in a shelter. Slug and Slimer. Sounds like a match made in a mud pit. Loki was here. Bob was here. Too. If you don't know, you need to ask. It's always a simple answer, it's right. There we go. Gray. I resemble that remark. You can see how that tree was just twisted. And that's recent. This was probably from Helene. We're more or less on the cusp of the Helene damage. So a lot of damage was done on the South Carolina side, which is right there. But there were still enough winds on this side to pick up things like this. What an epic shot this is. You can just see the dam through the trees. And all the way back. Looking across to South Carolina. Gorgeous view of the lake. That little drop right there. Yeah, it's just after being out in that open fire burn area and all of that, you get into here, which was largely untouched, obviously, by the fire. So we make our way across. Easy pickings across that little draw. It's beautiful through here. You can see where maybe birds or something. I don't know. Made some kind of little home up there. Yeah, you can see one right there. All right. Down here to the gate. You can see the road. knock off any critters on the ends of those weeds. We can see the parking area down here too. Large parking area, privy. Great little place to take a break. Beautiful. I highly recommend if you kayak that you come down here. This is a beautiful place to bring a kayak. So as you can see, it's about 5 miles back to Old Gobi. So not a particularly short hike at 10 miles round trip, but you know, nothing difficult other than the blowdown. Anyway, start working our way back. Well, we can see the Georgia Power Station across the way and the ridge. Everything we came through back there. This point represents the last of the views really till we get into the park. It's also the last of any really big climbing. There'll be some undulation, but this is kind of like the crest of the climb out of the river down there. So that's good. It's a slog. There's some weed encroachment a little bit, but it's contour. I mean, it's not steep, it's just continuous. So what you gonna do? Anyway, make our way to the park. Nothing like a face plant. I'm sure my face is probably dirty. Came through there. There's a trail that went around, beating out bypass that I did early, and I thought, well, I can see it beating out through here. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah. You might ask yourself, why are you sitting on the ground, Joe? Well, not 5 feet from where I face planted. I hit a patch of leaves and went down on my butt. Thought I'd just taken that bypass. Oh, take a look at this. See my trekking pole? Now it matches the other one. There we go. Get us one last look at the old gorge before we head out like a gopher. There's a buzzard circling. He's waiting for somebody to fall over. He's like, hey man, the view's much better outside that fence. See the cliff over here. You can see where we were before at Inspiration Point. There's Old Gobi waiting patiently. Hopefully nobody broke in and got my Frampton Comes Alive vinyl album and be hunting me up a turntable. Well, Stoneplace Trail down to Tallulah boat ramp and dock done. 5 miles each way. Probably add another quarter getting down there to the dock. Good hike. Like I say, I think it's a good cold sunny day kind of a hike. You can get some exposure and stay warm. Though it was pretty warm today. But yeah, I'll put the particulars down below what the steps came to. But anyway, we're going to get out of here, get something to eat.